Hey, friend, before we get started today, I wanted to say something to you that this episode is a little bit different than what I normally do. It is the same me, but it just has a different feel to it because of a lot of things that are going on in the world. So I'm not going to be loud. I'm not going to be angry, even though I am, but I am going to be very, very, very honest because what we're talking about today may feel political to some people. And I get that. I totally understand it. But for me, and I know for a lot of you, because I've heard from you, it stopped feeling political a long, long time ago. I know that politics are a part of our country, but this feels like a loss of humanity. It feels like our safety is in jeopardy, and it is. It feels like our values are in jeopardy, and we don't know what our values are, or we're not talking about them, or we're not expressing them. But I want to be very, 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 very clear on my intention. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm definitely not here to debate you. That's exhausting. And I'm not here to perform or just to tell anyone what they should think. I'm not. I'm here to help business owners navigate what it looks like to live inside your values when things feel heavy and confusing and, frankly, very scary. We're going to walk through a very simple framework. Like it's almost so simple that it doesn't even need explaining, but it is what, why, and how. All right, words we all know. And at the end, I'm going to give you three specific things that you can do this week to bring your values into your business in a way that for you, I hope makes you feel more grounded and maybe not as reactive to all the things around us. And it helps you to at least find and take a grip on what is happening. So we're going to take what resonates with you. We're going to leave behind what doesn't, but stay with me because this is an important talk today. So let's start with the what. Whew, deep breath on that one. Right now in the United States, people are being detained, right? People are being harmed. And that's an understatement. People are dying. I'm not interested in policy language today. I'm not interested in debating intent. I'm interested in the fact that real human beings are being impacted, families are being impacted. Fear is becoming part of everyday life for people who have done absolutely nothing wrong. Recently, there were two deaths in Minnesota. And when harm becomes normalized, when it's a normal thing, something inside of you just shifts. It really does. For me, that shift became personal very, very quickly. So my husband, Pete, traveled to Florida yesterday. And if you know us or know him or know our relationship or have seen us on Instagram, he is Asian. His mother is from Thailand. He was born here in the US. So he is 100% a US citizen, has been his whole life, and his mother has been a citizen for over 40 years now. And yet, before he took that trip, we had to sit down and have a conversation that I hope no one ever has to have, but I know that many of you are. We talked about his safety. We packed pepper spray for him and we're putting it into his bag as he got into the car and made sure that it would be there when he got out of his checked bag to his destination. We talked through what he would do if something escalated. Now, that's not politics. That is planning for survival based on your skin color. And that is devastating. That is horrible. When I shared something about this on Instagram yesterday, the responses confirmed too what I already knew. People are scared. People are very angry. People are grieving. And a lot of us business owners don't know what to do with all those feelings. So I want to say this to you in a gentle but very clear way. Being neutral right now is not being quiet. It's actually the opposite. You're not invisible. It communicates something, whether we intend for it to or not. Always has and always will. That doesn't make you a bad person, but it does make this moment worth examining. So, I want to talk about the why. Why does this matter for business owners? Because your business is not separate from you. Let me say that one more time because your business is not separate from you. I know many of you run small businesses as I do and have for your whole life. Some of you may be in different stages of it. Some are new, some are in the middle, some are toward the end. But Your business is intertwined with you. Think back on the projects that you take as a designer. Think back on the customers and the clients that you've worked with and the vendors that you've partnered with. That is because of the personality that you have. It is because of your values, even if you've never expressed them, they're there. And it is because of the human connection that you made. So you don't walk into your office and suddenly become a value-free version of yourself. Your decisions, the boundaries that you have, whether you're silent or not, your policies, your client relationships, all of that reflects what you believe is acceptable. I talk a lot about what I call my golden thread of values, and it's in my program, but I can give you a little highlight of it now because it's really important. It's this thread. So envision a golden needle with golden thread on it, and the thread is long and flowy, and on that golden thread are all the values that you hold dear. These are things that you don't compromise on because of trends or because of making more money, but because without them, you can't rest, right? Without those values of family and trust and honesty and transparency and, human connections and human values, without all of those on your golden thread of values, you won't be able to rest at night. This does not mean you only work with people who think exactly like you. That will never happen. That's totally unrealistic. And honestly, it's unhealthy. But I've worked with people across the political spectrum my entire career. And that's just the way it is. But there is a difference, hear me out, between two different opinions and misaligned values. The differences are respect, human dignity, safety, and compassion. And by the way, safety comes in many forms. It doesn't just mean physical safety, it means your mental and emotional safety. And I'm not a therapist, but I know what I know. I know what I feel. And for me, these are non negotiables completely. I know this part is a little uncomfortable, but I need to say it. If you speak up, you may lose clients. If you speak up, you may lose business. That is not failure. That is filtering out what should never have been in your world to begin with. But here's the other part. What you gain are clients who feel closer to you than you ever expected. Clients and vendors and trades and anyone else in your business, no matter what type of business you run. I'm speaking from the interior design profession, but this relates to any business. You can own a cookie store and this would still relate to that. You are gaining more people who understand that when you say you care, you actually mean it. For me, success is not purely financial. There was a time in my early career when I felt that that was the goal. I quickly realized that was going nowhere, riding the same train that everyone else was on. Success also looks to me like laying my head on my pillow at night and knowing that I did not abandon myself just to keep the peace in my business. So I grew up in church, Southern Baptist Church, 3 days a week. I played piano in church, did all the church plays, all the things. And the loving Christian community I knew then feels very different from what I see now. I still believe, I truly, truly do, I still believe there are good people. But when someone can turn their head away from what our government does to bring harm to innocent people, I really struggle to reconcile with the values that I was taught. It's an ongoing thing inside of me. It does not mean that I hate them. Absolutely not. And it does not mean that we can't coexist together. What it does mean is this is no longer just political disagreement for me. It is a human rights issue. Okay? So I want to talk to my creatives now because this is a different world for us. This is a different vibe for us. It's a different energy that we have to deal with. And I want to do this very carefully because this is not about saying that our experience matters more than anyone else's. It absolutely does not. But it is the people that I know because I am a creative. But I do know that everybody is impacted differently from this. But creative people, we tend to process things differently. There is actual psychological research behind this. I looked into it. Creative thinkers often have higher emotional sensitivity and higher emotional awareness. Ask yourself, does that sound like you? This means that we don't just notice what's happening, we feel what's happening. We absorb it. We connect it to a meaning almost right away, like almost immediately. For creative brains, things are very rarely abstract. We don't just hear a policy We picture faces, we picture families, we picture ourselves. Think about the story I just said. And a lot of you I know are in the same situation. But we think about the people that we love and how that relates to us. Creatives also tend to score high in empathy, right? We are those empathetic people. That's part of what makes you good at what you do. You can read a room. You sense when there's tension. You feel when something is off. I love that. That same skill that helps you design and create and write your blog posts and your newsletters also means injustice and suffering land a little bit harder in your body. This does not make you fragile. It does not make you weak. I learned that a long time ago too. Owning my feelings does not make me a meek person. It actually makes me a stronger person because it gives me perception and it gives you perception as well. It makes you a perceptive person. Many creatives also experience emotions more intensely. Psychologists, now again, I'm not a psychologist, but I did read about this before I hit record. Psychologists call this affective sensitivity. It's basically the kind of a volume knob, but it's turned up a little higher for creative people's brains. Joy feels a lot bigger, beauty feels very, very deep, and pain doesn't just stay as this like theoretical thing. It is actually felt. Think about when you've had a reveal for a client and the client raves about how beautiful the home is. That hits you in your soul. That hits you and reminds you of why we are doing what we do as a line of work. So it does go deeper for us. But if you've been feeling overwhelmed, distracted, or even more emotional than you have before, or maybe you're torn between wanting to speak up and wanting to disappear, I want to just tell you this: nothing is wrong with you. This is natural. Nothing is wrong with you. This is your nervous system responding the way it's wired to respond. The problem comes when sensitivity is not contained, when everything feels urgent, when guilt starts to creep in. I know you've had that feeling as well. When silence feels heavy, but speaking feels very risky. That's why values matter so much more for creatives. Values give your emotion some structure. Think about that. They move you from this raw feeling into actual intentional action. I love the word intent because it has such meaning behind it. And if you have intentional action, it's something that you're doing on purpose because it brings something to you. Asking a creative person to separate their values from their business is like asking water not to be wet. It really is. It is two things that go hand in hand. They always have and they always will. And it's time that you own that, okay? So now let's move into the how. Let's talk about that. Speaking up does not mean shouting. A lot of people want you to shout. A lot of people want to have a fight with you. That's not my vibe either. I've gotten there before, but very, very, very rarely. Being aligned with all of that does not mean that you have to put on some sort of performance or, fake something. Most of the time, here's what it looks like. It looks pretty quiet and it is more consistent than social media would have you believe. Because we go on there and everyone's screaming and raving and ranting and there's words across the screen and it's just all kinds of stuff, but it does not have to be that way. So I want to give you 3 things that you can do this week. Now, I hope this will make you feel better because I know for me, inaction feels so much worse than action. Action actually makes me feel as if I'm making a difference, which is what we all want. So here's some things that you can do. First of all, I mentioned my golden thread of values earlier. It's so simple. It is so simple. But again, imagine that golden needle, and then on that needle is this long flowing thread behind it in gold as well. And that's where you're going to have your values. So envision that, draw it out on a piece of paper if you want, and write down 3 to 5 values that you will not compromise on. Things that you never are going to compromise on, right? So for me, it's family. For me, it is standing up for the LGBTQ community and for other minorities and lots of other things. But on my I actually ran out of space on my thread. It just kept getting longer and longer, and I had to whittle that down to the top 5 that I wanted. But in your business specifically, you're going to have values that you want to keep in the realm of your business and in the realm of your life. Now, these are not political labels. These aren't like fake slogans. These are actual real standards that you have. So ask yourself this: what behavior crosses a line for me? When is that line crossed? What behavior causes that line to be crossed? What would I never excuse if it happened to someone I love? What would you envision happening to someone that you love that is inexcusable? Nope, I'm not backing down from that. And what do I want my business to quietly stand for? Notice I didn't say loudly. I just want you to ask yourself, what do you want your business to quietly stand for? Now, I talk all the time about you should stand out as a designer and you should stand out as a business owner and you should have a perspective other than just I design homes. This is one of those ways that you can stand out and in a positive way that reinforces things inside of your soul. I always say soul over should, right? Because we always think about the things that we, quote, should do, but do we really ask ourselves what our soul is asking us to do? And these values that we're talking about, I don't want you to put them out into the public first. These aren't for public consumption right away. They are decision filters. These are things that you're going to filter relationships with. These are going to filter people that you partner with, clients, vendors, even tradespeople, especially. They are going to filter anyone that's in your world. You're going to run them through that filter and ask yourself, do these people fit in with my golden thread? This is what you return to when things start to feel messy. Okay, second thing I want you to do, build values into your business infrastructure. If your values only live in your head, they disappear when you're under pressure. You forget about them. Some quiet ways that you can reflect on those is on your website, for instance. So website language should reflect, let's say, humanity and respect, right? Very easy. So you can put language on your website that infers and lets the world know that you value humanity and you value respect. And you can put links on your website to causes or foundations or charities that you support without even explaining about those or defending them. They're right there on your website. Someone sees it, they automatically know what you're doing to help that cause, okay? What about a thoughtful blog post? If you write blogs, instead of writing one about design, what if you wrote a blog post about something that really is held deeply to you? It could be family. It could be a little bit more of your personal life. It could be, for me, as a gay business owner, how I came out. So ask yourself what you can write a blog post about that sits there that people can go to on your website. And it gives you peace of mind, too, that you are still speaking out about something that is important to you. This is different than, a crazy Instagram rant. That's not what I'm saying here. This is something that you have thought through, you've read, you've written, and then you can even send that blog to people when, let's say, you're having a discovery call and they want to know more about you. You can send them to your blog and let them know these are some of my favorite blog posts. So again, you're saying who you are without holding it up on a sign, okay? What about a short values statement in your onboarding materials? When you know these values that we're talking about on your golden thread, come up with a values statement that you can put, again, on your website, but also in your onboarding materials. It could be your discovery call material. If you have a how we work document, or if you have a menu of services or any information about your company, send that out to them and have a little values statement on there. Those people who align with that, oh my gosh, they're going to feel instantly connected to you, and it's going to cause them to move forward even faster. Now, it's going to repel those people who are like, no, 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 that's not me. And that is okay. You are still proudly showing who you are and what you stand for. And it will bolster your self-esteem and your confidence in yourself to eventually talk more about that when you are in person. So this is like a baby step, but it's a very important step. And I know I have a lot of introverts in my world. Hear me clearly on this. You do not owe the internet your nervous system. Don't turn it over to them. Just don't. You can be quietly aligned by doing some of the things that I just shared, but it's still alignment. It's still showing your values. You don't have to scream. You don't have to make a post. You don't have to write a carousel. None of those things you have to do. You can share someone else's message. You can put all of these things on your website and in your documentation for your business. Quiet alignment is still alignment, okay? Doesn't that feel good to know that you're making a difference and that you are telling the world who you are and what you stand for? But you don't have to go stand on top of the mountain and scream it. You're quietly saying it in your own way. And that's what I want you to take away from this. Say what you feel in your own way. And then action number 3 to do this week, I want you to create a checks and balance system for client alignment. Ooh, that feels a little scary, right? Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to put my clients through a checks and balance system to see if they should be working with me. You don't need, let me remind you, ideological agreements with your clients, but you do need them to be compatible with your values. I promise you, if it doesn't come up in the beginning, it will eventually come up in some way. There's going to be something that's said that really angers you or annoys you, and you're just going to keep brushing it under the rug, So it's better to find out if there is a value compatibility early on than not. So it starts early. I encourage you to use discovery calls to listen for that. So listen for respect, empathy, and how they view the world. Be clear as well about boundaries around communication and behavior, what you will do and what you won't do. This is why I have that How We Work document. I love it. They have the information from my website, but my How We Work document puts those guardrails around how we actually operate the business and what we will do and what we won't do and what we expect from our clients. And if you do all of this and somehow misalignment still shows up, maybe mid-project, you're halfway through and you're like, oh my gosh, whoa, where did that come? Like I've had clients who have spoken horribly to their spouses, not on the consultation, but down the road as we get into the project, right? So that's a flag for me. So you should stop and address that behavior, but it doesn't have to mean that you address the beliefs at that point. Mid-project, you're addressing the behavior because you're not going to change any sort of belief system that the person has, and that's not your job anyway. So you can say this does not work for how we operate. Very simple, right? Or maybe this crosses a boundary for us. This is a boundary that we have, and unfortunately, you have crossed it. I've said that to clients before. It's not a fun conversation, but it's a must-have conversation. And if you don't feel comfortable talking about a specific interest, you can go back to the good old, this may not be a good fit moving forward. I know that's a generic term, but it also feels good because we're not having to actually pinpoint what the problem was. Now, if it keeps going and they ask what the problem was, tell them what the problem was. I have no problem with that either. I'm a little more specific when I have a problem to address with a client. I don't beat around the bush. I don't like the term, it's not a good fit for us, but I know that a lot of you are a bit timid on being specific about what the problem was, and I just want to give you full permission to say in the beginning as well. So if it's a discovery call situation and you don't feel alignment, you can say, this is not a good fit for my firm. However, I can give you some other names if you want to look at others in my area. And if it's a mid-project situation and you're halfway through a big renovation and you know that you've tried a lot of things with this person and it's just not getting any better, it is okay to say, this may not be a good fit moving forward. Now, one of two things will happen. They're going to either ask you what the problem was and you can address it or not, or they're going to fix it and they're going to stop saying or doing what they were doing. But regardless, you have stood up for your beliefs and you have expressed your discontentment in what they were doing. So think about that and then ask yourself, are there situations that I can avoid before they happen? And then if so, what is a what if situation that could happen? How am I going to address it? I love to have these situations in the back of my mind that I can pull out and address because I've already thought about what I would say if that happened. So now you can prepare for that and just sit down and think about the what ifs. And I don't like to live in a what if world, but if you have those in your mind, it's going to give your whole body and your whole nervous system a relaxing feeling because you don't have to worry about how you're going to respond if that does happen, okay? Let's talk about the complexity of all this. So you can acknowledge complexity without diluting your values. You can work across differences without abandoning humanity. And you can be very, very kind without being quiet and silent, right? This is not about being perfect. It's about being honest. That's what I'm trying to get across today. This is about you being honest with who you are and the people that you want to surround yourself with. All right. No, this is heavy. I know hearing this is hard, and I know that a lot of you are scared. I know some of you are tired. Raising my hand. Some days are better than others, but your business will always tell a story, even when you say nothing, especially when you say nothing. The question is whether that story reflects who you really are. And if nothing else, I hope this episode gives you permission to choose that alignment over comfort, having alignment with your values over being comfortable and not expressing them. I hope it gives you clarity over silence. And my hope and prayers is that it gives you humanity over the fear of it all. That's where real success lives, my friend. Okay, deep breath, guys. We did it, and I know it's a hard time right now, but if you truly want to make your business and your life align with each other, listen to this episode, listen to it again, pull some things out of it that you can do. I can tell you this, those small grassroots efforts that you feel are making a difference are huge inside of your body and inside of your soul and inside of your whole nervous system. It's going to make all of that feel so much better because it's not always the physical things that upset us. It's not always a piece of furniture being late on a job site. It is how we feel about that because we are highly emotional people. So dig into that. Apply it as you can, one step at a time, and you are doing the best that you can. Keep speaking up in your own way. I'm very proud of you, and I hope to always be a leader for you in ways that you can make your life and your business better, because those two things are the same. All right, I'll see you next time, friend.